Hey to all the listeners, it's another episode of Medshield Movement Connect Show. As always, it's me, Dr. Fez, and we have another incredible guest in studio today, Amy Hopkins. She does it all. Brand ambassadorships, she's put together cookbooks, she's a triathlete, she does marathons, yoga teacher, she is the bee's knees, and I think she actually has a longer resume than mine, so I can't wait to connect the dots and see what makes her tick. Get ready to know what you don't know about being body brilliant. This is the Medshield Movement Connect Show, where we connect the dots between fitness, health, wellness, nutrition, and of course you. Hosted by me, Dr. Fez Mkhize, and a special guest that we have every month, sharing knowledge, insights, and groundbreaking tips on how to get fitter, be stronger, and live healthier. Turn up the volume and listen close. Today you amplify. It's the Medshield Movement Connect Show. Let's go. Amy, I'm so excited to have you on the show today because when you look at your resume, honestly, I thought I did a lot of things, but you, from kind of brand managing to being an editor of Women's Health to being a triathlete, marathon running, you cook and you are able to actually help people with regards to their nutrition. You really have that wellness, holistic element down.
I feel like you're just buttering me up, Fez.
I am. I'm going to ask the hard questions just now. No, but you really, I always tell people, if you want to live a great life, you need to go out there, you need to experience things, figure things that work out for you, and also go out and read and kind of gain knowledge. And it seems like that's what you've done. And not only that, you've made it palpable and palatable to people to be able to actually take that knowledge in as well.
Why, thank you. I think, really none of us ever stop learning. I feel like that's at least my journey. And if lockdown has taught us anything, it's we're all going through a period of growth and change and learning to be adaptable. I have a passion for fitness, which kind of led to a greater passion for holistic living. I started a few years ago wanting to run a half marathon. That was my goal, but let's say about 5 years ago. So I wasn't one of those girls that was fit my whole life or anything like that.
I think a lot of people assume with kind of the resume and your passion for it, you were always the pro athlete, you were in the first teams for everything.
No, not at all. I mean, I did play hockey at school, so I've got a little bit of that kind of aggressive nature, I guess.
I feel like that's enough. As soon as you say hockey, I at least know that you're focused.
Those hockey goals. But it was really the community of runners that drew me more into the fitness space. And I realized that when we talk about things like motivation, which to be honest does not exist every day for every person, like you've got to find other things that will get you to your fitness. And for me, community was one of them. It was about accountability, having accountability partners. It was about feeling like I have a family in fitness, meeting new people, meeting like-minded people that I could do challenges with. And when I started running and joining these groups, I really just found this passion, and it kind of led me to doing a few other things. So I then also changed my eating. I think it happens naturally that you start going, you don't live anymore about like craving to craving or just what I feel like. You go, what's fueling my body? What's helping me recover? What's making me be a more energized, kind of better athlete, but also in your work life. So you're saying I do many things. I do have a lot of energy. I love taking projects on. I am an extrovert. So I love being around people. And I think it's very important that we look at what we put in our bodies as much as what we do with our bodies physically, or, kind of try and find that balance of life. And then what happened was I went through a period where I became highly anxious. I developed an anxiety disorder, and through all of this kind of growth and self-discovery, I began practicing yoga. And I know you practice yoga as well.
A little bit, I get some yin in, a bit of vinyasa here and there. But I agree with you. It's probably one of the greatest practices that I've done, and I'm somebody who's also very much about moving. But when you got into the yoga, did you become kind of fully fledged yoga teacher?
I did. So it took a while. So I think I was practicing for about 2 years, and then I went and did my yoga teacher training in Bali. So fully immersed in the jungle, doing all kinds of crazy breathing techniques. And, it was an intense experience, but a really huge period of growth for me as well. And I think there's so much to be said for the physical benefits of practicing yoga, but very much for me, what's so important are the mental health benefits. Learning to breathe, learning to tap into yourself, find that inner sense of calm and peace that all of us have. And I think having the tool set to do that, and it's what I teach a lot when I teach yoga as well, has really helped me through stressful times like lockdown, periods where there've been a lot of change. And I can just see it with all of us. If we just learn to breathe properly, sometimes take a step back from the hecticness, it really helps us re-energize and be able to continue going forward. So yoga is a big part of my life. I need it for stretching as much as I need it for the breathing, because I do cycle a lot. I got into triathlon last year. Unfortunately, a lot of races were cancelled this year. Yes, and I mean, I'm not one of those people who did an Ironman in my garden, but I know people who did.
I actually really admire people who are able to kind of be in a place for extended periods of time doing endurance workouts. I think as much as COVID and the pandemic has made us pivot and shift, that to me is just mental resilience, which is kind of the cornerstone for all of these endurance workouts anyway. So I think it kind of does go hand in hand.
It's almost something I envy, like this absolute mental dedication and discipline, this focus to get through it. It's when you look at different things that motivate people to exercise or to achieve their goal. I'm amazed at just some people, the absolute discipline. I need other things to pull me in. Like I need people, I need a race goal.
I love that though, because I mean, for me, I'm very similar to you. I tell people endurance and doing things kind of long term isn't something I'm inherently able to do, because I like to chase things. Like I like playing basketball, I like sports with a ball, and there's an intention and a purpose to the things that I'm doing, rather than kind of thinking about it holistically going, well, this is going to be good for me if I keep doing it for an hour. But I find that you're also quite focused and have these things that buttress you from going off by the wayside. You talk about community, which is amazing for mental fortitude, you're accountable. But literally, before we started this, you were kind of doing some squats and then going back into working. So clearly you have a routine and things that allow you to kind of get re-energized. What are those points and what are the things you do when you're working?
Sure.
And it's not physical.
Well, the first thing I have to just say is that unlike you, I do sport that does not require a ball or any kind of coordination. This is why I like running and cycling. It's like one foot in front of the other, because I'm quite cordless.
I love that. So yeah, at least if my feet can kind of get it right, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not, I fail in a Zumba class. Like that's not my scene. But yeah, I think when we have busy days, and particularly if you've been working from home, like I have been through this lockdown period, it's very important for me to sometimes get up from my desk, do little things that re-energize me again. And sometimes that's just taking a walk around the block or just doing a few moves in your office space. I feel like just doing change and making a small movement kind of creates motivation again. Like movement creates motivation and motivation creates movement, kind of works in a cycle like that. And always drinking enough water, guys. I can't talk about how...
She says that as she's drinking, and we keep having to top up her water. I mean, I love it because it's literally taking into account that 75-78% of our body is made of water. But it means that sometimes you may have to cut interviews a bit short. Someone can go to the toilet. We got a little toilet break. If you guys hear any dead space, that's what that is. But I also love that you almost hit like all the pillars that make for wellness. And we try to drive that narrative of wellness, not just healthy, because healthy also has those connotations of how do I look? Am I aesthetically pleasing? But inside you may not have all the things that allow you to live the best life that you can live. Nutrition wise, you're actually somebody who's very into kind of nutrition, cooking. We were talking about how you drove the was it Fit Chef, or was it...
It's the Next Fit Foodie that we did with Women's Health, correct. Food is a huge passion of mine. What happened was, about 8 years ago, I went for a food allergy test because I was feeling so just average and meh, and then I was struggling with painful like cramps and not feeling great. And
but you were still quite active in this time.
No, this is before. This is about 8 years ago. So kind of before I got into the fitness. What was important for me was that I went to my doctor. I was then like, I'm not feeling great. Let's figure out what's going on. And it turns out that I'm allergic to dairy and wheat. So this kind of informed my cooking process, because what happened was I had to go back to the drawing board. learn how to make everything from scratch, really appreciate ingredients in their whole form and the versatility of different ingredients. At the moment, I make a lot of plant-based foods. I share a lot of healthy recipes on my Instagram and stuff, but also I've just finished a cookbook which is coming out in December, so I'm very excited about that.
Sorry, I should have actually added that onto the long list as well. It's fine. Number 272.
No. So I love, I'm a bit of a feeder. I love sharing food with people. I love making food for people, and it's a love language for me, actually. It's a way of like sharing something that's beautiful and communicating a love to someone else, making food for them. And for me, a lot of the food that I make must also fuel my lifestyle, and so I really enjoy coming up with ideas that surprise people. My biggest thing is salads are not boring. Like, this is how you make a salad interesting. You know, you've got to put like all kinds of roast veggies in them and toasted nuts and make beautiful dressings, you know. So they're really amazing ways to elevate what I think traditionally people thought were kind of boring foods, you know. I think in South Africa, many of us grew up with this idea of like vlees, rice and aardappels, you know. It's like, that's what you have. And steak. Salad was like a piece of, you know, iceberg lettuce with a sad tomato.
Like, it was potatoes, mayonnaise, and maybe some egg. And I classify that as
protein, carbs, good fats.
Yeah.
So my philosophy is to help people around thinking of cool ways to have your veggies and enjoy your veggies, and it doesn't have to be like boiled or steamed and boring. It can be like exciting and delicious. Pack on some spices, you know, pack on some fresh herbs, lemon zest. I put it in nearly everything because it just adds brightness to so many
and I love
flavors.
that kind of note that you get as well, because I have a partner who is plant-based, and by extension I've also become plant-based. But I also find that with your cookbook, and this is what I always have to ask, because once you go down a certain route, people think, okay, stringently, I can't buy this if I'm not vegan, or I can't buy this if I'm not plant-based, because it's for those people. If I were somebody who didn't adhere to any specific kind of dietary way of eating, would I be able to buy your book, and would I benefit and not feel like, where's that meat, or where's that wors, or, you know?
So the book is actually flexitarian. So while half the recipes are vegan, the rest are, mix of like egg-based recipes, or perhaps a bit of fish, bit of chicken. The recipe book has no pork, so it's friendly for like halal and if you're kosher, as well as no dairy in any of the recipes and no wheat. I mean, this is my lifestyle, but I'm also trying to show that there are amazing ways that you can use alternative grains. Like not everything has to be quinoa as well. We're not talking like blowing your budget. You know, you can use incredible grains like millet, which is really affordable, also a nice form of protein. They're incredible ways to use different recipes. Instead of using burger buns, you can cook giant mushrooms and use those to top your burger. Whatever you have inside.
I will definitely try that. The giant mushroom one. It always looks good, but I'm always a bit kind of anxious as to how to prepare it to still kind of keep that consistency of kind of that firmness of bun, and still being able to eat them without feeling like they're too raw.
Yes,
You'll tell me how to
So mushrooms, the trick is you've got to have your pan super hot. So you want to be able, because no one likes the slime, like mushrooms can be slimy, you don't want that. Yeah. You want it to actually sear, like if you were to think about it, the way that you would sear a steak. And then it kind of cooks slowly towards the center. So you want to get that beautiful like caramelizedness on the mushrooms. I mean, you see, I start getting that.
This is how I know you have a cookbook, because whenever like the facial features are how I know somebody, like when you see Jamie Oliver's doing something, he's kind of like, oh, and it has just that aroma, and I'm like, it just.
I take my bedroom eyes when I talk about veggies.
It's like, it's cumin. It's just, you added cumin. There wasn't, and he's like, ooh, and it's just those aromas and that smell. So that at least tells me that you know what you're doing.
So cumin is a great spice, by the way. So if I had to think of like 5 spices that I always use, so paprika is an amazing one, especially if you're wanting to get those kind of Mexican flavors into your food. Cumin, really beautiful for getting that almost like meatiness or like a real nice savory.
And I love how you pick that up, because I use cumin and everything to try get that meatiness without the meatiness.
It's like a beautiful kind of savoriness that it just has. I mean, I love pepper, and chili. So I'm not going to lie, I am a little bit of a chili addict. I try to kind of not put chili in everything, but little chili flake sprinkle. It's just, the garnish alone is beautiful. I mean, how are you like
speaking? Are you speaking up for chili? Oh, but like the little chili, and it's just had such a hard time. And
it's also a mood booster, so you get a little bit of pep from your chilies, you know.
True.
So just a little touch of spice, I love. What would a fifth spice be? Let me think, and then you're gonna have to tell me yours. But
okay, now you're putting me on the spot. You will think of does turmeric?
Turmeric, such a great spice.
Thank you.
Beautiful color.
Antioxidant
as well. Yes,
properties. Anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to go that. I'm going to go cumin. I'm going to go cumin because to savory cumin. So cumin has got my 2 slots. I'm going to go definitely chili or coarse chili, anything of that nature. And then my 5th one, nutritional yeast isn't one, but I love the taste of nutritional. Yeah,
this is the best. So a friend of mine told me the other day, he's like, Ames, it's called nooch. He said to me like such a hipster.
That's when you know you've been
it's
using
like the street
it
name
way
of
too much.
nutritional yeast. But it's brilliant because you can sprinkle it on salads. I love putting it in pasta and risotto. It gives you that just beautiful umami parmesan-like flavor without obviously using dairy. And it's got B12 in it as well.
It does.
So again, if you're following a plant-based diet, really good to have. Let's talk herbs. Do you have a favorite herb?
Oh, I feel like we're going to go down this path, and I do cook mostly in the house, but you're going to make me feel bad. How about I do this? Somewhere I'm actually feeling very comfortable because I've done mental health and I've helped so many people, being Dr. Fez. Do you see how you pivot out of situations you don't want to be in?
I'm going to take the notes of this situation.
Exactly.
I think he's avoiding telling me that he doesn't like coriander because I'm a coriander person.
I actually don't use enough herbs in my food, which is what I'm trying to pivot away from. But vitamin B12, great for cells. Cells grow, they move well, great for red blood cells. Red blood cells take oxygen. Oxygen takes it up to the brain. When your brain's well oxidized, or has good oxygenation, it functions better. When you function well, you have higher serotonin levels, the happy hormone. Okay, now we're into mental health. Do you see that segue? It was a long one, but we got there. You talk about community, which is great for making sure that you've got people who hold you accountable. But what else do you do in your life that allows you to still have the energy and the drive to do all of the things you do? Because you're somebody who helps a lot of people. A lot of people depend on you. What do you do to make sure that your cup's always full?
Sure. So for filling my own cup, I think it's so important to sometimes take a step back, make sure you sleep enough. So for me, sleep has become almost at one point a study. I was obsessed with learning how to have better energy, feel in general, have enough energy for all the activities I want to do. And I was actually what I consider a bad sleeper, and it's such rubbish. You can really change your sleep habits and your sleep lifestyle by implementing certain things. So I started going to bed earlier, kind of set myself a bedtime routine, which helps my body begin to unwind. So now I have a routine that I make myself a cup of rooibos tea, plain, black, sometimes a bit of honey if I'm feeling like it, but it helps me just go, now I'm preparing for bed and I'm making myself this cup of tea. Also chamomile tea, which I love, just for a bit of extra calm if I feel like I've had a stressful day. And I love that, and I have a book next to my bed, and what I now do is I actually put my phone into my drawer. So I've got a little drawer. Instead of having the light could pop on and you look, oh, I've got a message or something.
I am guilty of that.
It's just a way to go, I'm now tapping out for the evening. And I always have books on rotation that I'm reading. You know, sometimes I want a bit of fiction, sometimes a bit of some non-fiction. So it just depends what, like a really great book I read recently was called Atomic Habits. And it's incredible to read if you're looking for a way to change your habits or break unhealthy ones or kind of form new ones. So just a bit of, for the footnotes of the podcast, Atomic Habits. So yes, sleep, hugely important for mental health, and particularly if you're someone who struggles with anxiety, which I do from time to time, it's very, very important to make sure you're getting enough sleep, enough rest. Another thing is to bring in moments of meditation. So even if it's just 10 minutes that you might be able to find once a week, twice a week perhaps, there are a lot of online meditations you can do for free, and it's really great to just tap out, listen to one,
Yoga
breathe.
Nidra.
Yoga Nidra.
This is just me throwing terms out there,
He's
so
such
you guys
a yogi,
know
this
that
guy.
I do actually dabble in it, as you were. Just Yoga Nidra. Another footnote here. You guys look that up.
Definitely. What I think is so amazing about social media and our access to the internet, as opposed to when I was a teenager, we didn't really have this, is that now you really have so many things at your fingertips. So if you want to find a meditation, you want to find an online workout, like all the these amazing discussions, which we're going to have on the Medshield Movement site, it's just so incredible that people can access this kind of content. And of course, I love sharing and helping create this kind of content. So sleep, meditation, drinking enough water,
which
eating
is
good,
how much for
healthy
you,
foods.
by the way, because I like people like to
Yes.
ask me how much, and I can give you the stuff that's kind of been
You can give us
given
the doctor.
scientifically, because that's what it is. You kind of give it for most of the population, but
Yes.
for you, how do you gauge when you've had enough water?
So I think the most important thing when I'm exercising a lot is that I shouldn't get to the point where I feel thirsty, because then I know I'm actually dehydrated. So when I'm exercising a lot, or I've gone for a long run, I make sure that I add a lot more water to my diet for the day, and of course add in some electrolytes. So I try and drink about 2 liters of water a day. Sometimes in winter or in the colder months, I replace that with just like black herbal tea, because I feel like, sometimes it's hard to just get through those bottles of water. So if you have just plain black herbal tea without caffeine, I think that's also quite a nice way to just make sure you're getting those liquids in. But yeah, I try and aim for 2 liters, and when I'm exercising a lot, almost up to 3.
Okay.
So it just depends. It depends, if I'm doing more like endurance running or something where you're losing a lot of liquids, and particularly in summer, now that it's getting hotter, just to watch that hydration again. And I always find if I'm traveling to places, I get more thirsty. And in Joburg, if I'm in Joburg, I'm always like more thirsty than in Cape Town for some reason.
Literally, I think it's the dryness. You kind of your body's trying to figure out a way to make sure that it's getting the moisture that's being sapped out from how dry it is going up there. So I fully agree. I mean, I'm probably hit about 3 liters on a daily basis. It's also my stress levels. I generally stress quite a bit, so I kind of end up sweating some more than most people, so I end up losing it a bit more. So I'm very conscious as well about the water drinking. But it's always interesting to kind of, especially you who has such a good understanding about the body and its functions, how you gauge your thirstiness.
I used to be someone that really struggled to drink water, so I've created ways to make it more pleasurable. And a way to do that is I have a beautiful glass bottle on my desk, and it's a 750 ml, and I just make sure that I constantly fill that up with filtered water that I keep in the fridge. So it's also about knowing yourself. Like, all of us are different. We all have different needs. We all have different wants. Our bodies are slightly different, and I think if you can find what works for you, I think one of the things when we're trying to create a healthy habit is to make it desirable somehow, like make something about it appealing. So for me, having a beautiful glass bottle next to my desk is like, it feels nice when I drink water that way,
It feels cool, and I know some people will put crystals into them to infuse some of that kind of
you
energy
are
in there.
This yogi, guys.
I pivot. I think
More than me, I think.
I may have studied yogic teachings just to sound cool for Amy, guys. But we are coming to kind of the end of the show, and I always like to hit people with rapid fire questions. Because I'm going to ask you, I'll answer yours.
Okay.
I literally bought like 5 minutes to think about these herbs. Okay, is it oreganum?
Oregano? Or
Oregano?
oregano?
Does that count? That's
or
one.
oregano, depending on where you are in the world.
So that's 1. 2, I'm going to say parsley, because she said
But
parsley.
is it curly parsley, or is it like that old school garnish from the 90s, or is it like the flat leaf one?
The one that is on sale. And then the third one is going to be rocket.
Oh yeah,
Thank
always
you.
great.
Good.
Peppery,
Wild, rocket and solar
looks
leaf.
beautiful on a plate.
Oh,
Yes.
that sounds so healthy right now. Baby spinach, does that count?
It's a great, we can call it a herb veggie. It's just beautiful in salads, beautiful in stir fries.
Veggie. Yeah.
I put it in my smoothies actually. It's a great way to get your greens in the morning, I find.
True.
Just pack it in a smoothie with some
folic
berries.
acid, all of that good stuff, that's for you. And then my 5th one is going to be Amy, could you say it?
I'm gonna. My favorite is coriander, so I'm just gonna make you have
coriander. As you can tell, my herb knowledge is very limited. So that's my 5 rapid fire questions. I'm gonna ask you. Okay. You are somebody who's very well read. You are somebody who's within the wellness space, and you are the editor for Women's Health. So this should be easy for you. Your top 3 best motivational kind of speakers, people who get you up and going, and you think are the greatest.
That's actually quite a tough one.
You can't think too long.
I think so. It's interesting in this space. Like, people are different, motivated by different speakers and different kinds of people. I think, let me talk about this. Like, rather, a podcast that I found quite motivating to listen to. Tim Ferriss, he hosts a podcast that's also very, very interesting. I mean, to be honest, this conversation has been motivating. So, I mean, I really feel like you're becoming one of my motivators.
That's
right
me. I'm number
here.
2, so she only has another one to go. Tim Ferriss and Fez.
So, actually, I can talk, maybe this is a little bit of a throwback to the sleep discussion we were talking about. There's an incredible sleep doctor from UCT. Her name is Dr. Dale Ray. If you ever get to listen to her, she's fantastic, and I find her knowledge about sleep and sleep study very motivational, inspirational, and actually very practical. You know, you can really input those into life. So look up Dr. Dale Ray from UCT. She's brilliant. Let me try and think if there's anyone else specifically. Dr. Sims. So sorry, I have to think one
Sims
more.
Sims has kicked me out.
She's incredible because her whole thing is women are not small men. Our bodies are different. We need different things. We recover differently. She's an incredible sports doctor. So if you look up Dr. Sims, she's really amazing. I think we'll have to double check those for the footnotes. I'll get those details through. But she's incredible. She's got a great TED talk. She's incredible to follow on Instagram. What am I saying? I need more coffee.
I feel like I love that you say women are not small men, because that's what we say when we practice pediatrics. If ever you rotate through pediatric kind of disciplines or practicing, you don't necessarily have to be a doctor, because children are not small adults. They have all sorts of ways of functioning. Women are not small men. Totally different kind of hormonal profile. But I would have actually added Amy Hopkins into that, but I mean, clearly you didn't want to put her in there because she is one of the greatest of all times. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Thank you. It was so great to chat.
I think if I were to even sum up all the wealth of knowledge that you've given us to kind of give a common thread so people can understand, I think a lot of what you do is intuitive. It's kind of trial and error that you have been able to concentrate, and that's why you guys should probably get her cookbook, because it's going to allow you guys to get a better understanding as to all the things that she's learned. But honestly, in all the spheres that you're working in, you are able to do things intuitively, live intuitively, and it's clearly working for you. Guys, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Amy has been amazing. She's going to be taking me through my paces at some point. So you guys are going to get to enjoy me sweating it out with her. But that's another episode of Medshield Movement Connect Show, connecting the dots that allow you to live a life that's better. Kind of similar to what Amy is living. But it's going to take you guys some years. I mean, it took her 5 years, so maybe it'll take you guys a bit longer. But thank you so much for watching. That's me, Dr. Fez. Stay well.
Life. There's nothing like it. So much to do, so much to see, so much to be. But during this time of uncertainty, how do you immerse yourself in its joys and wonders when all signs call for caution? How do you live in the present and gaze upon the future with equal peace of mind? The answer? Medshield Medical Scheme. The affordable health cover that we provide enables all South Africans to live assured, knowing that your health and that of your family will be taken care of in times of sickness, injury, and need. Our wide network of family practitioners, pharmacies, optometrists, dentists, specialists, and hospitals deliver fast and focused medical care when it's needed most, protecting and saving lives, healing from the heart to ensure extraordinary patient outcomes every time. So take those adventures. Make memories, achieve greatness. Relax and enjoy your place in the sun. Your future health is in good hands. Live assured with Medshield Medical Scheme.